Hey everybody, producer Tom Barnes here for The Love of Chicago in the Uptown neighborhood. And yes, I've done a story about Uptown already, but I had to go back because that video did not include Graceland Cemetery, one of the most famous cemeteries here in the United States, especially here in Chicago. You're talking about gravesite of Daniel Burnham, Louis Sullivan, among others. And there's also a little bit of the ghost hunting, ghost lore type of thing. My friend Adam Selzer will kind of explain all of that, as he is an author and local historian, has written a book about Graceland Cemetery, dispel some of them, and also just show you what people are talking about. But I thought it was a fun, spooky thing to do for this October edition for Love of the Chicago in Graceland Cemetery. All right, so on the border of Lakeview and Uptown, you have this magnificent cemetery, been around since 1860. This is Graceland Cemetery, and I'm here with historian, author, Adam Selzer. How are you, sir?
Pretty well, and you?
Good. Thank you for inviting me back out here to talk about Graceland. We have talked about this in prior interviews before, but it's always something fascinating to come here just because there's a lot of history here.
Yeah.
There's some fascinating things that happen here, and you're standing next to one of them now.
Right. Every time I come here, there's something new to investigate, some new mystery to solve. We're standing right now next to one of the most famous ones. This is Eternal Silence, a statue by Laredo Taft, built for the grave of the Graves family. Henry Graves was a famous racehorse breeder in his day. He put aside something like $250,000 for a family mausoleum in his will. That's $250 in 1907 money, which is probably $200,000 more than this would actually hold. So what this would actually cost. So one of the big outstanding mysteries is, where did the rest of that money go?
I imagine being back then, a lot of things kind of just disappear. Nobody really knows.
I have my theories.
Yeah?
I have my theories. I'm not going to get into all conspiracy mongering here or anything. This is a statue of Father Time, though it's often referred to as the Statue of Death. But our image of the Grim Reaper is based on old images of Father Time, so it's kind of the same thing.
Oh, I see. And fitting that it's right here in the middle of the cemetery, towards the front-ish end of it, right? Would you say the front's off of Irving Park Road and Clark Street?
Right by Irving Park here. You got a good view of the train going by sometimes.
And this space been around since 1868, as we talked about earlier, but there are a lot of famous Chicagoans buried here, yes?
Right, there are a lot of people who have actually been buried since before 1860. Right across from us is the Kinsey family plot. John Kinsey is one of our early pioneers in Chicago. This is his fourth grave.
Oh, he's got, what, he
they
died
say
4
your
times?
Final resting place, but he was in a family plot. He was in a cemetery they started over by where the water tower is now. He was in Lincoln Park back when it was City Cemetery and finally got moved to here.
So what spot exactly are you referring to when we're looking out this way?
Well, just follow me. We'll go right up here.
And you do this often. You give tours
I do this all the time. In the weekends, I do 2 or 3 tours here a week on Saturday mornings, Saturday afternoons. So this is John Kinsey, War of 1812 veteran, though some say he may have committed a little bit of light treason.
How so?
This is the whole Kinsey family plot. He was kind of stoking tension so he could sell supplies to people.
Oh.
War was just good for business for him. Right in front of him is his grandson, Arthur Kinsey. He was one of the first people to command black troops in the Civil War. His uncle, General Hunter, started recruiting black soldiers way before the Emancipation Proclamation, back when it was grossly illegal.
Wow.
But the announcements Lincoln had to make about it helped pave the way for the Emancipation Proclamation a couple of months later. We've also got John's daughter-in-law, Juliet Kinsey, who is sometimes called Chicago's first historian.
Really?
Yeah, then back behind, there's a couple of unmarked graves for a couple of guys named Richard and Charles Duck. I love that. Dick Duck and Chuck Duck.
Any significance to their outside of their names?
Not a thing that I know of. But there's actually a Revolutionary War veteran up at the top of the hill here.
Oh, absolutely. Let's go.
That somehow slipped through the cracks. Nobody knew that he was buried here until just a few years ago. Or they knew he was, they didn't realize it was a veteran grave.
I imagine that's some of the more fascinating things. You come out here all the time. You wrote a book, first of all, about this cemetery.
Working on volume 2 now.
And when you come out here, you find something new almost every time you're out here.
Every time there's something new to look up. Now, in this case, I was just going through the records trying to find the oldest person here. We thought it was probably John Kinsey, but it turns out there is a guy who was born before John Kinsey was born here. And that is this guy over here. I'm kind of taking it in circles.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Noah Merrick, born in 1760. And he actually served in the Revolutionary War. Only for about 3 weeks and doing nothing anybody cared to write down. Then he eventually married Delphia when he was about 60, and she was his former teenage stepdaughter. This is probably why they left town when they did in upstate New York, came to Chicago, well, up around McHenry where nobody would have known who they were.
I see.
And he spent the rest of his life telling his wife and their kids that he fought the whole length of the war. It was only when she tried to get a widow's pension that they found out that no, it was just about 3 weeks. But because of that, we do have a paper trail that establishes this is the only really confirmed Revolutionary War burial here in Chicago. Within the city limits, anyway.
And there's a lot of history out here in the cemetery, and we'll get to it in a second. And it's one of the oldest cemeteries, I imagine, in the city. Outside of like
the oldest, yeah.
Yeah.
Rose Hill is just slightly older, but Graceland started doing their paperwork first.
Ah, well, that's always key when you're doing
Sure.
these types of things. As far as you give tours that we mentioned earlier, you are going to be picking them up, I imagine, here in October. People probably are curious about this cemetery.
October every weekend, yes.
For Halloween in October. So what are some of the misconceptions and some of the confirmations of this cemetery around that time of year? Because, you know, people
some of the
always...
misconceptions, well, a lot of people think there are going to be a lot more ghosts floating around than there really are. Now and then I have had, I've heard the sound of somebody clearing their throat behind a grave and then found that there was nobody there. But you also worry that there's going to be like a bunch of junior high school Satanists doing rituals all through October. I've only occasionally run into anything like that. But who knows what people are thinking when they put a tall boy of Budweiser on Eternal Silence there.
Oh yeah, we didn't even show that, but
Yeah.
it was on the side of it. I missed it.
People leave offerings at graves all the time, and people ask me what the significance is, and you'd have to ask whoever left it there.
But this cemetery, when it was created, was also created as a park space as well, right?
People thought of cemeteries as a green space to go enjoy at a time when parks in cities were very rare. And by the end of the 19th century, this place was so popular that you needed a ticket to come on Sundays and holidays.
Really?
Yeah, the tickets have all these terms and conditions on the back, like you're not allowed to bring your own food, you're not allowed to bring dogs, you're not allowed to bring firearms, you're definitely not allowed to use firearms. I don't know how you spent your Memorial Day in those days.
That's a fascinating thing, just because you think things don't change, it seems, over time.
Right.
I think those rules,
some things change, some things do not.
those rules would still apply today. And now today, this cemetery, people can still be buried here, correct?
People
It's still
can
open
be
in that
interred here,
terms. Yeah. And
spaces aren't quite as numerous as they used to be, but there are still burials here all the time.
so going back to the first spot where we were, there you can see the tall boy and the offerings. I think there's some
loaf
bread.
of bread. There's dead flowers.
And that's not unusual.
Oils.
And I imagine
you see stuff set up here all the time. Keys, dinosaur toys.
dinosaur.
But occasionally.
We're going to get into some of the more fascinating ones, but
Yeah, but there's also one of the more boring ones right here. Well, some of them were so comically boring that people were still making fun of them for it 50 years later.
And why is that?
Because they were just so comically dull.
Oh.
Like under here, under the tree, this is a guy named Jeremiah Price, who died in the 1854 cholera epidemic. He was initially buried in City Cemetery. One person said that if Jeremiah Price had any imagination at all, it did not extend beyond the alphabet and the multiplication table.
Wow.
Had no friends, no real family. They still remember the day that he walked into the apothecary shop and said, "I have quite a diarrhea." And the apothecary, who was probably Philo Carpenter, who's right over there, said, "Well, Mr. Price, that's the first sign of cholera. You should go to a doctor." And he said, "No, I'll just take some peppermint lozenges, please." The next day they found him dead with $20,000 strapped to his chest like he was trying to take it with him. And since I found that story, people have started leaving peppermints for him.
Oh, look at that,
on the grave. That one I understand what they were doing.
Did you know that before, or is that always after this?
That was after my book came out that started happening.
And there's other notable folks here, like sports heroes.
All sorts of people. Up around the pond is Ernie Banks, and Minnie Minoso is there as well. Like right over here, this is a brewer named Peter Schoenhofen. And this has been recently restored. It's really looking fantastic now. Now, this is a non-sectarian cemetery, so you don't see quite as much religious iconography as you would at like a Catholic cemetery. But here, Peter Schoenhofen almost looks like he couldn't quite make up his mind. We've got a Christian angel, an Egyptian pyramid, a sphinx that I always thought looked like Mikhail Gorbachev, personally. The serpent wrapped around the staff is either Greek or Jewish, depending on how you interpret it. And Peter himself was actually an atheist.
Interesting.
But it's almost like he was making sure.
just covering all of his bases.
Right,
huh?
that carries over into his will, too. He gave money to religious charities, non-religious charities, all different denominations.
And you said he was a brewer?
He was a brewer. Some of the Schoenhofen brewery buildings are still up. They were designed by the architect Richard Schmidt, who also designed the mausoleum. You see that quite a bit. Like right across from us here is Mr. Pullman.
Oh.
Most of the Pullman buildings were designed by Solon Beeman, who also designed this monument.
Wow. And this is Pullman as in the
This
town
is
Pullman.
the town of Pullman, yeah. And there's a legend that he was buried in a 10-foot deep grave full of cement and steel to make sure nobody could steal the body and hold it for ransom, which had happened a couple of times.
Really?
Yeah. Now, really, you wouldn't want a 10-foot grave this close to the pond.
For obvious reasons?
He would be floating in soup right about now.
Yeah. But I imagine the metal and everything else kept him where he needed to be,
if that's true, then it is. They don't have any record of it one way or the other.
And what's this building here?
Right here, this is a lumberman named Martin Ryerson. And this was designed by Louis Sullivan.
Wow.
One of our great architects. It's very atypical of his style, though. But if we cut right through...
Let's cut right through.
Well, actually, Sullivan himself is right on the other side of the trees there.
Right there.
Designed for him by Thomas Talmadge. And in Frank Lloyd Wright's writings, he absolutely ripped on this.
Really?
He blamed an architect named George Elmsley for it. Elmsley is over there, whereas Thomas Talmadge is over there. Elmsley wrote back saying, I did not design that thing. Well, Frank Lloyd Wright very rarely said anything nice about anybody else in his life. But this is a fantastic monument. It's even got like a skyline built into the side here.
Oh, wow.
Very cool and subtle detail.
So the Goodman Theater family plot is here, inspired originally by the son of the Goodman family.
Yeah, the son Kenneth was a playwright. He died during World War I, but his plays are still occasionally produced. They were a lumber family by trade.
And they have a legacy in Chicago that's, second to none here.
Really, yeah. It's a very interesting grave. From the other side, it looks like you have to sail up to this on a boat. The door is right down on the edge here.
Oh.
The Goodmans were a lumber family, but their son Kenneth was also a playwright. And he died during World War I in 1918. Those columns, that is Potter and Bertha Palmer of the Palmer House.
Of where they invented the brownie.
Where they invented the brownie. The chef Joseph Sale, who probably did the actual inventing, is here at the cemetery too.
Oh, well, at least they're all together.
This is Lucius Fisher, who ran a box company. With a fresco by Richard Bach, who did a lot of work with with Frank Lloyd Wright. But the thing is, this is actually a columbarium. You can open this door, and inside are the ashes. The keyhole is right here under the sleeve.
Oh, look at that. I don't think I've ever seen something like that before.
Yeah.
And here we are at the pond, right? We've been walking
This
through
is the pond. Right in the middle is the island with the architect Daniel Burnham and his children, who are also architects.
So that whole island is Daniel Burnham.
Daniel Burnham and his family, yeah. Originally there was just like a gazebo there. But after he died, if you look at the paperwork, the widow got the rights to use that just days afterwards.
Oh, and you can take a little bridge across there to pay your respects.
Men as that make no little plans, they have no magic in them to stir men's blood, and probably themselves will not be realized. Make big plans, aim high in hope and in work. And he really said it too. For a long time we thought that he didn't really, but it turned out he said it in a speech in the UK.
Of all places in the UK. Huh. All right, so you're looking at one of the most fascinating and most famous spots here in Graceland.
Yeah, this is Inez Briggs. This is a statue that has inspired ghost stories, children's books, and all sorts of urban legends in the last years. Now, this is just a girl who died of diphtheria. Her mother is buried here with her, also her brother Delbert. And this one, we can research this like crazy. I've seen things like letters returned to sender that were addressed to her father during divorce proceedings, classified ads trying to locate her father in San Francisco. He was rumored to be in San Francisco. They say everybody who went missing in those days was rumored to be in San Francisco.
In the gold rush?
Yeah, they never found him.
So why the significance of the glass? I even see like a dollar bill there.
I think they added the glass around the 1930s or so. The statue would not be in very good shape if it were not. This kind of stone just doesn't do well in Chicago winters. But really in just the last generation or so, it's become especially famous, inspiring books and legends and ghost stories. And since then, people have been leaving a lot of offerings for her here. Like over here, somebody's left her some nice Hawaiian punch.
And I also think I saw...
yeah, there's a 9 of diamonds here.
Look at that. So what is the reason why? Like
You'd have to ask whoever left it for them.
Well, I meant as far as like why it has gotten famous in the last few years. Like what are people saying?
Well, something about this just captures people's imaginations. Wondering about this girl who died when she was about 6 years old of diphtheria. And there's all these legends that have been inspired. There are ghost stories. They say that during storms the statue disappears. I've never seen that happen myself, but it's not for lack of trying.
Ah. Anything else weird with this one as far as disappearing or anything else, or lights or anything?
Nothing that I know of.
Debunking all the rumors here.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but nobody really knows where the ghost stories came from exactly. They started appearing in books in the 1990s, but it's been hard to trace them to anything before that, or trying to find an actual first-hand account.
So where we started was one of the more fascinating spots.
Yeah, this is probably tied with Eternal Silence for being the most famous grave in the cemetery, or the most famous statue.
And you do this all the time as far as tours?
I do research here year-round and tours from March through November, but especially around September, October.
And people come out. How long do the tours usually last?
Usually about 90 minutes.
Yeah. And for them to want to book anything with you, what's the best way?
Oh, just go to adamchicago.com.
Easy enough. Adam,
Yep.
Thank you so much for taking
Thanks a lot.
time.
You want to see one more cool one?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I don't want to cut you off. Let's see where we're at
Let's
here.
show you. There's one of them. I hope I can find it again. Here it is. This epitaph I just noticed. For Sonia Windsor, 3 times a lady. She died about 2 weeks before that song came out.
That must have been a saying back then, huh?
No, it was not really a saying until the song came out, but that summer when her children were deciding what to put on the epitaph, I guess they must have been into that song.
Huh.
Something about it must have resonated with them.
And this is just a great example of just some of the more unique, unusual...
Unique epitaphs. I love it when there's a pop song lyric on a gravestone.
Absolutely.